Have you ever wondered how airline pilots manage to sleep between transoceanic flights, perhaps in a noisy hotel room in New York or during a 30-minute layover in a Dubai airport? Imagine being able to flip a switch in your brain and fall asleep in just 2 minutes, just like they do. What I'm about to tell you is no ordinary secret. It's a technique so powerful that 92% of professional pilots use it to manage their grueling flight shifts. And the most surprising thing? It works in any condition, from the deafening noise of an airport to the most devastating jet lag. In the world of commercial aviation, sleep is not just a necessity, but a critical component of safety. Airline pilots have developed and perfected over decades a technique that allows them to rest effectively during rest periods between flights, even in less than ideal conditions. This technique, now known as the rapid rest method, has been studied and validated by numerous research studies in the field of aviation medicine. The history of this technique has its roots in World War II, when it was initially developed by the Air Force. It was subsequently perfected by commercial airlines in the 1960s and is now an integral part of modern training protocols. In fact, pilots face unique challenges when it comes to sleep. Constant jet lag, irregular schedules, varying sleeping environments, and the need to maintain maximum alertness when waking up, all with often limited rest time. The science behind this method is based on 3 fundamental principles. The first is progressive muscle relaxation, which reduces accumulated physical tension, lowers the heart rate, and decreases cortisol production. The second is sensory desensitization, which reduces reactivity to external stimuli and promotes the transition to the hypnagogic phase, facilitating entry into deep sleep. The third principle is guided visualization, which distracts from intrusive thoughts and creates a mental environment conducive to sleep by synchronizing brain waves. The technique begins with a preparation phase that lasts 2 to 3 minutes. It is important to lie on your back when possible, or if seated, recline your seat to about 40 degrees, always supporting your neck and keeping your legs slightly bent. The ideal environment should be between 18 and 20 Fahrenheit C, with low light. The use of earplugs and an eye mask is optional but recommended. The heart of the technique is muscle relaxation, which takes about 2 minutes. You start by contracting all the facial muscles for 10 seconds, then release them completely. One continues by relaxing the jaw and tongue and gently rolling the eyes. The shoulders should be lowered as far as possible, leaving the arms heavy and relaxing each finger individually. Relaxation continues through the trunk and legs, eliminating any residual tension. Controlled breathing is another crucial element. For 90 seconds, one breathes following a specific pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds through the nose, hold for 2 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds through the mouth. This cycle must be repeated 6 times, concentrating on the airflow, noting its temperature and the movement of the diaphragm. The final phase, which lasts between 30 and 60 seconds, involves visualizing one of 2 specific scenarios. The first is the canoe scenario. One imagines oneself on a perfectly calm lake, with a blue sky above and a light, refreshing breeze, being lulled by the soothing rocking of the water. The alternative is the hammock scenario. You visualize yourself suspended in a black velvet hammock in a completely dark environment, focusing on the floating sensation and absolute silence. But let us go into even more detail about this extraordinary technique. NASA researchers conducted an in-depth study of this methodology, analyzing the brain patterns of over 2,300 pilots during their resting phases. The results revealed something surprising. The brains of pilots using this technique show a theta wave pattern identical to that present during the early stages of natural sleep. In other words, they managed to artificially induce the hypnagogic state, that transient phase between wakefulness and sleep that usually takes 15 to 40 minutes to occur naturally. A particularly interesting aspect concerns the adaptability of the method to different environmental conditions. Pilots have learned to slightly modify the technique according to the context. For example, in the presence of loud background noise, such as in crowded airports, he increases the duration of the muscle contraction phase from 10 to 15 seconds, thus compensating for the sound interference with greater physical relaxation. In environments that are too hot or too cold, spend more time visualizing, mentally creating an ideal temperature sensation that helps the body adapt. Neuroscience offers a fascinating explanation of how this technique influences our nervous system. During the controlled breathing phase, the vagus nerve, the longest of the cranial nerves, is activated and plays a fundamental role in our parasympathetic nervous system. This nerve, when stimulated through deep breathing, sends relaxation signals to the entire body, slowing the heart rate and lowering blood pressure. It is like pressing a biological switch that gradually shuts down all non-essential systems in our body. An often underestimated element of the technique is the importance of tongue position. Pilots are instructed to position the tongue against the palate, just behind the upper incisors. This seemingly insignificant position actually has a significant impact. It helps relax the muscles in the jaw and neck, an area where we often accumulate unconscious tension. Furthermore, this tongue position encourages nasal breathing, which is crucial for the activation of the parasympathetic system. The technique also includes a little-known aspect concerning eye movements. During the relaxation phase, pilots perform 3 complete and slow clockwise rotations of the eyes, followed by 3 counterclockwise. This specific movement helps to relax the eye muscles and, according to some studies, helps to reduce brain activity in the visual cortex, facilitating the transition to the sleep state. Another interesting aspect concerns the adaptation of technique to different types of fatigue. Riders have learned to recognize whether their fatigue is mainly physical or mental and adjust the emphasis on the different phases of the technique accordingly. In the case of physical fatigue, devote more time to progressive muscle relaxation. If mental fatigue predominates, they focus more on visualization and breathing. The research also revealed a curious phenomenon. After about 6 weeks of regular practice, many users of the technique develop a kind of conditioned reflex. The mere beginning of the breathing sequence becomes a powerful signal to the brain that it is time to sleep. This conditioning is so strong that some riders report falling asleep even faster than the standard 2 minutes. The effectiveness of this technique has been widely demonstrated. 92% of trained pilots manage to fall asleep in 2 to 3 minutes, with a 60% improvement in sleep quality and a 75% reduction in jet lag symptoms. Long-term benefits include faster recovery, better management of fatigue and stress, and increased alertness upon waking. A particularly relevant aspect for frequent flyers concerns the use of the technique to combat jet lag. Pilots have developed a specific variant that involves using the technique at strategic moments during transcontinental flights. For example, when flying eastbound, they use the technique during the first hours of the flight to reset their biological clock. When they fly west, they apply it instead in the final hours, preparing their bodies for the new time zone. A particularly interesting finding emerges from studies conducted at Stanford University, where researchers analyzed the effects of the technique on different age groups. Surprisingly, the effectiveness of the method increases with age. People over 50 showed even better results than young adults, with a 96% success rate. This phenomenon could be related to the greater ability to concentrate and patience developed with age, characteristics that favor learning the technique correctly. The technique has also shown unexpected benefits in managing daily stress. Many pilots publish that they use shortened versions of the method during short breaks in their day, not necessarily to sleep, but to quickly recharge their energy. A 3 to 4 minute mini session can produce an invigorating effect comparable to a cup of coffee, but without the side effects of caffeine. The impact of this technique on riders' quality of life has been the subject of numerous longitudinal studies. Data show that those who regularly practice the method not only sleep better, but also show improved general health parameters, more stable blood pressure, lower stress levels, and a better ability to concentrate during waking hours. Some studies even suggest a strengthening of the immune system, probably due to the better quality of sleep. One particularly promising aspect concerns the application of the technique in the treatment of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Military veterans who have learnt the method have reported a significant reduction in trauma-related nightmares and night awakenings. The combination of muscle relaxation and guided visualization seems to help the brain switch off the hypervigilant circuits typical of PTSD. In conclusion, the pilot's rapid rest method is much more than a simple relaxation technique. It is a complex and scientifically validated system that demonstrates how the human body can be programmed to enter a state of deep rest almost on command. With practice and dedication, this technique can truly transform the way we relate to sleep, offering a concrete solution to one of the most common problems of modern life: the difficulty of getting adequate rest in an increasingly hectic and unpredictable world.